Hi, Dr. Heather here from Wellspring Chiropractic Lifestyle Center. Today I want to talk about stress. How bad is it? Well, the numbers that we're calculating, they're getting worse. And maybe that's no surprise to you if you've been living in this culture, but we find that 80% of Americans are feeling stress frequently throughout each day. And in the workplace, 83% of workers are suffering from job-related stress. But let's just take it to another level. Basically, things are increasing and this stress is affecting us in many ways. So maybe you know that stress can make us sick. Did you recognize that it's related to increase in cardiovascular deaths, heart attacks, strokes, that sort of thing? But it's also increasing, of course, in anxiety and depression, but also things like panic attacks, insomnia, domestic abuse, addictive behavior, even suicide. And we're seeing 1 in 5 people actually are experiencing anxiety. 1 in 3 of our teens are experiencing anxiety. And out of all Americans, 1 in 6 are actually taking medications to try and deal with it. So what do we do when we're stressed? In our culture, we tend to go directly to medications. Well, how's that working for us? It turns out that they actually found that when you take medications away from people, studies show they do better. And so people are getting on more and more medications trying to manage the stress that we have, and yet we're finding that we're getting worse and worse results with it. And it is interesting that even when we look at longevity, we're losing ground here year after year. And that's a surprise to a lot of people because we always thought, oh, we're getting better and better at living in this modern lifestyle to prolong our life. Actually, the stats are showing that longevity is decreasing, and it should be alarming to people to hear that. When you think about it, for 3,700 generations, we have figured out how to live on this planet and how to excel at it. But we've totally screwed it up the last 3 generations. Our modern lifestyle is so unnaturally stressful that it is tanking our health. And when you think about it, here's just the basics. First, 3,700 years ago, even 2,000 years ago, we needed to move in order to eat. We had to go after our food and expend energy to get it. And we have completely engineered movement out of our society. We are a sedentary society, and it's killing us. The second thing is the food that we do eat, 200 years ago, you wouldn't even call that food, right? And then we just look at the stress levels and they are maxing out. And we even can see that at certain times of the year, they get really high. There's actually this peak that occurs right at the end of the year. So we have maximum stress the whole year through, and then we add holiday stress in, and year after year, we see it just peak. There's actually a graph that you can see repeats itself year after year after year. And so in this graph, you can see cardiovascular deaths just peak right at the holiday season, right? And so we know that we're maxed out already, and then we just increase that during the holidays. And so I want to just talk about stress through the whole year. Like, what do we need to do so that we can actually finish the year strong? What a concept. Let's finish the year strong, everybody. Who's with me here? And so when we think about what is this all about, it's something called allostatic load. If you think of a rain barrel that fills up with water, it's holding it, and then you add a few more drops and now it's spilling over. That's allostatic load. And so stress in and of itself is not bad. We actually need stress in order to be strong. However, when it overloads us, that's when it hurts us. So everybody knows that stress can make you sick, can lead to early death, and we've looked at the stats. How does that work? It turns out it's whether or not we're adapting to that stress. And so I want to be able to teach you what are the best ways for us to learn how to thrive with stress. And the key word here is resilience. So many people think the opposite of stress is to just not have stress. But actually, I think the opposite of stress is resilience. And so there's 2 ways that we can approach stress. There is the way of trying to just tolerate the stress, and then there's the way of just removing the stress. And so stress reduction and stress tolerance are 2 different ways to look at it. But if you think about it, stress reduction means You just have to keep living around it, and it only builds if you're trying to escape from it, and so your life is getting more and more restricted. I'm just not going to go there because I'm stressed out. I don't have the energy anymore because I'm stressed out. And we start living our life in smaller and smaller ways. But there's another way to think about this. What if we could figure out how to get more and more robust with the stresses that we encounter? What if we could actually learn to thrive from stress and get stronger from stress? I'm going to be teaching you a whole series of things that you can be doing for yourself and an understanding of what you can do to actually master stress. So I hope you're with me on this. We're going to be teaching you a lot, and stay with me with this because I want you to finish the year strong and just be strong throughout the whole year. If you found that this was useful, please share it with friends and family, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon.